Righto, I think it's probably time for part 3 of the taking apart of the Susie Sunshine. A little while back I decided that I was going to keep this black MGTF because I didn't think I was going to get my own ever back. And then I discovered that actually it's way too rotten to even consider doing anything about it. Well, it wasn't me actually, it was the MOT man next door. He gave me a shout and pointed things out that were rather unsightly and unpleasant and obviously spelled the end for this particular little roadster. So I went about the process of taking some bits off of it, ready to save other cars and put some money back in my pocket that I knew I was going to lose. But as ever, other things tend to get in the way. My own MGF coming back for a start, yes, and that's been quite a distraction. But now I'm ready to continue with this video from a few weeks back when I started taking the engine out. Well, hello. It looks like part 2 of the taking the MGTF apart video has arrived. I don't think I'm going to be rushing this car at all because there were plenty of parts I will need at some point. You never know when I might just get another MG. You never know. Could happen at any point, couldn't it? But in the meantime, I want to take the roof off because I want to make sure that that's kept. And not because I want to sell it, I mean I do, but it'll make it easier to get to the engine and more specifically the alternator belt, because I want that for something else. Kettle time. Let's get this roof off then. It won't take that long. We have ow, clips down here. You can't see them? Ow! Because it's dark. Another one. Yep. And then another one. Yep, that's it. That's enough. So now, all I've got to do, release the seat belt and release the bolts there. And it's off, 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 off. Just a bit of weight in that. No roof at all, that means another weight saving measure. That roof is about the same weight as my dog. That's the part I was after, the auxiliary belt. Now, you might say, well, why not just buy a new one? I'm trying to keep things to a minimum. You know, if I don't have to spend any money on something, then I won't spend any money on something. You know, what's the point in buying something new when I've got one there? It's not going to break suddenly. Whilst I've got this up in the air, I'm going to spray absolutely everything with WD-40. There we're seeing Nefarious Neville back on stage. Thank you, mate. Seeing Nefarious Neville back on stage, a sign of good things to come, but not for a while, because there are still other things to be sorted out. That's there because obviously today we lost one of our brothers, a brother without a name, a brother called Honda HRV. Or is it CRV? I can never remember. I was really attached to it, but you know, obviously not that attached. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because of one car going, it makes me feel a bit more cheerful. Once that recovery truck's gone, once enough parts sell off that Land Rover to pay off its debt and I can just go and weigh it in, once the TF makes a few bob, I don't have to make any money on it. Because I don't owe anybody any money on that car. It's just, I owe myself some money on it. Then September will come and Dan will take away the press release 45. Nefarious Never will get something sorted out in the meantime. And then Voivod, the 25 in the lockup. At some point I will have the funds and the time to do the head gasket on that, and then it can go officially back up for sale. Anyway, it seems to have gone ever so slightly off topic. The roof from the TF is up for sale. I put it up for sale at £190. I've seen some for less, but I've seen most for worse condition as well. Many without the window at all, none with the glass. I've sprayed every nut and bolt underneath that car with WD-40 so that when I start taking off the subframe and whatever else in order to get to the engine to take it out, hopefully I won't have too much trouble. I can see Fix-It Carl. The next day, probably. My reasonable goal for the day is to remove the subframe from this MGTF, therefore releasing the engine and gearbox in one go, so that the rest of it, once the seats have been taken out and a few other little bits, can be scrapped. Gosh, that sounds awful, because it is awful. It's bad news. It's a big disappointment for me. It's a big disappointment in so many ways, because obviously I wanted to have that MGF experience again this year, and now, you know, it's not really going to happen, is it? But I do need the space. I need to have money made out of this thing, because so far I'm just at a loss with it, and I need to. What's that doing? I've got to set it on this phone where it just decides that, oh, this is what it wants. This is what you want to be looking at. You know, it's all right whilst I'm moving over here and everything, but suddenly it just focused in on the wrong bit. Don't think you're as clever as you think, because you're not. Focusing on this, why don't you, eh? Me getting changed, are you going to do that? Are you going to suddenly make a big deal out of my varicose vein? And say, oh yeah, that's what everybody wants to see, isn't it? Lumpy legs. Eh? Well, no they don't. Nobody needs to see that. Removing the subframe from the MGTF is something I've never done before, which means that I don't actually know how to do it. But I do know how to do it. I'll figure it out, like I always do. One of the issues, mind, is going to be where, not so much how, but where. And the reason for this is that once that subframe, engine, gearbox and all the gubbins that attach it to the road are off, it's not a free rolling car, it's a dragger. And having spoken to the Baxenden man, the man from Baxenden, the Baxenden man, he said, after my question, could you pick it up? He said, yeah, but it needs to be somewhere like this rather than somewhere like that. Which means my issue here is this. Will I be able to take it out there and then drag the whole thing around here, ready to be collected? Will the Audi have enough power to pull a car that doesn't have any wheels? I think the answer is probably yes. However, it would pull it better forwards. It will pull the car better from the front with the wheels attached, and then that's dragging. If you pull it from the back, then it's digging in, and that will cause more of an issue. So really, I can't have it this way round. I've got to turn it around. More problems, because then I'm going to get the ramp. This car doesn't drive, it's run out of petrol. I'm going to have to take a moment to think about this, because if I pull this out, pull it back round the other way, I can't do it. I could put some of that cheap petrol that's infused with diesel, then it would move. But then I've got the back end here, which is going to be in the dark. And my lamp, which, as much as I've tried to charge, doesn't even work. It definitely doesn't now. See, it doesn't work. It didn't work before. I wouldn't have dropped it on the floor knowing that. I don't think it matters. It's just going to get dragged anyway. When I was in the possession of transit phase, I'd get rid of a car by yanking it on the back. The truck had enough power to pull it along. The winch had enough power to yank it through the dirt. I'd use my super long crowbar to hoik it from any rutty bits, and I'd basically get by. So why should I not do the same thing now? No reason. What we need now, ramps. Yep, big ramps. Why don't you do it outside? Well, good idea. The best place to do it would be to have it turned around and just do it there. But I use a car in front of the door as a security measure because, of course, you can't just leave things knocking about because someone will say, I'll have that. I'll have that. That's what they do. And that is basically breaking in. There we go. Good dog. Howdy. As a hook. MG as a hook. By connecting these two hooks up together with something that's stronger than the weight of the car, I can just pull the MG up the ramps.
Simple enough, but didn't stop there being a moment of confusion though.
Yeah, that's using the actual lockup as a way of making sure it goes up the ramp. Oh, look at that though. Ooh. It's just handy there isn't any great overhang with this car, although I still wouldn't be able to close the door. I think that's going to be reasonably safe. Only time will tell. Now, I can hear voices at me now saying, what are you doing it there for? Why not just take it round the back on the concrete bit that you have there? Surely it can be dragged up the hill with a long winch. Oh yeah. Forgot about that. But I forgot about it because there's stuff there. So I can't really, I mean, I could move absolutely everything to actually do it, but I don't want to do. Because by the time I finish that, I might already have the engine out. In the car. Go on, get in the car. In the car. You're not convinced it is a car, are you not? That's why I was called Peter Bowles Lead. Join me now underneath the MGTF, where I'm going to get my closest inspection of what we have. And here we can see a better view of the corrosion, the general condition of the car. It's had some patches welded on it. It's basically just very, very crusty indeed. Those pipes don't look too good. And as you can see, it's all been painted over quite a lot. So what we have here basically, things to disconnect, anything to do with electricity or water or being attached to the bottom of the car. It's not a good start. Grounded, inaccessible, broken. That means I can't separate the back box from the catalytic converter just yet. The anti-roll bar is in the way of some of the subframe bolts, and the first one of those I took off snapped. Now then, that is the subframe bolt. Easily accessible from the arch, as you've just seen, but it's either captive or there's another nut on the other side of there, and it looks like I have to remove this thing here to get to it, but as you can see, that is exceedingly crusty, and unless things start to do up a bit more freely soon, I may be on to plan B, and I didn't even realise there was a plan B. So it looks like what I'm going to have to do is hammer on the 10mm socket and then see if it'll come undone, or whether it'll snap. That'll be the third bolt that's just snapped so far. Hammered on, rounded off. Oh gosh. Plan B is coming closer and closer. Will this special socket be the answer to my problem? That didn't work either. Looks like plan B. So what is plan B? Well, I didn't anticipate needing a plan B, so I didn't make one up. But now I'm going to have to do, because otherwise this car's going to stay exactly where it is. No, plan B is just to let it go as it is. So plan B isn't the solution or the plan I'm going to go for. No, the plan I wasn't expecting is plan C. That's the one I haven't figured out yet. So that's the one I'm going to have to figure out right now. I'm going to give you a moment to see if you can guess what plan C actually is, because it's a bit unconventional. It would have to be, wouldn't it? I've got it. Plan C. Unbolt the engine from the gearbox and whip it out of the top. How though, when there isn't enough room through this gap? Well, simple. Cut this bit off. That's right, simple. That's what the angle grinder's for. Metal surgery. Eyes full of shit. Underneath there, undoing the manifold. The exhaust manifold. Six nuts it is, rather than 4, rather than 2 as it is on some. 6. I mean, the 2 that I've taken off so far that I thought I'd only need 1 more for came off quite easily, but the others are a bit more difficult to get to. That didn't go to plan. This isn't going to be any easier with you clambering under here with me. I've just removed 2 bolts that fix the gearbox to the engine, and I'm way too close for you to be able to see it. But you can see that. Look at those rusty pipes. They're not good, are they? Lounging around again. With leaving the gearbox in place means there's a lot of things I don't really have to worry about, such as gear linkages. That's a good thing, but the exhaust is still a problem. That does need to be detached, but it's so far deciding it doesn't want to be detached. Whilst clambering under the car, it's a good idea to wear goggles to protect your eyes from all the rusty bits that fall off and cause irritation. But of course these goggles are old and really rather cloudy. So I removed them so I can see what I'm doing. I still have 2 problems here. Out of the 6 bolts that hold the exhaust to the manifold, 4 of them have come off. The other 2 are, the exhaust is in the way of itself, let's say, which is kind of typical design really, where you can kind of get onto it but not straight. And if you can't get straight on, then of course it wobbles itself off and then eventually gives up and says, I'm staying here, I'm going to round myself off. Is why I took the back box off, because if I take the cat off as well, which is worthless, I might be able to jiggle it around. Although before I do that, we still have the issue with this hole not really being big enough to get the engine out. And although this car is going for scrap anyway, I'm still kind of reluctant just to cut its body off. I could just take the inlet manifold off, then that would possibly clear. Although, how would I get the inlet manifold out whilst the engine is in the way? Because that gap's not big enough. Well, maybe it is if the engine's dropped down. Probably not though, eh? I'm feeling a bit close to defeat because the original plan obviously was to drop the subframe. But then of course the discovery of bolts that are so rotten that you can't get a grip on them, meaning I'd have to be underneath the car with an angle grinder. and I think I don't fancy that particularly. So plan B, take the engine out the top, and most of that's going reasonably well, except for one thing. There's the inlet manifold off, and surprisingly enough, it was made much easier by the boot not being present. Those engine mounts have been done up by King Kong's weightlifting uncle, so I had to borrow this big one from next door. Now that's a proper breaker bar. If anyone was to ask me if I fancied doing a head gasket on an MG F or TF, I'm going to say the answer is no. The hottest day of the year so far, and that seems like a good idea to get back under this. It's been a week or so since I've done anything on it, and I'd ideally like to just have it out of the yard with all the bits that I want to keep off of it. Now I don't really want the engine particularly, but somebody will at some point, and I'll kick myself right in the grollies if I don't get it out. But of course it has been fighting me all of the way. But today, remarkably, some progress. With some real determination, I've managed to unbolt the exhaust at last. Look, see? It might... Shit. That's what I want really, is more grit in my eyes. I've only just got rid of the last bit. Now I just clunk my head getting up. More bits off, more grit in my eye. This car wasn't my priority today at all. But now I'm feeling a bit pleased that I couldn't get on with my original job because I'm cracking on and sorting some of these bits out. Good. 2 more bolts to go. Then I've got to saw the top off the car, pull the engine out. Honestly, the main reason why this engine has remained in that car for so long, over 2 months since I started doing this, I can't keep blaming doing other things. I don't think I've ever had to cut a car up to get to its engine because I can't get it out the proper way. And now of course the only way of lifting it is from the exhaust manifold, and I can't get the crane far enough, so I'm going to have to jack it up. Engine removal never goes to plan. So I'm not expecting that I'm just going to hike it up and it will just pop straight out, even though that's what I'd like to happen. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting that to happen. A big part of the body that I cut out was still fouling the path for the engine removal. So I've used my super big bar and some BFI to make this even more of a wreckage. Repositioned for the 4th time, I might be in with a chance this time. There, perseverance, ignorance, and brute force finally pay off. The engine is free. All I've got to do now is undo a couple of things that it's still attached to. Just mean the wiring loom, that's all. We are approaching the end of this video now, so I think it's important that before I start saying thank you, I just explain what's going to happen. That engine is going to come out and it's going to come into the lockup just there, where it will be stored under the bench. There you come. And that's the end. So thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for liking it. Thanks for being a subscriber, and thanks for being a channel member. And a special big thank you to anyone who's new to the channel and has made it all the way to the end. I like that. That means that either you've got caught up with the video and was after the conclusion, or you inadvertently fell asleep at some point. Either way, thank you and bye-bye. This chap in front is a superb driver. in the same way they time a Volvo driver.